Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich. This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
And welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Poppy Tooker, host of Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Hey, Miss Poppy. Hey. Ian McNulty.
Hello, Miss Peg.
Hello. Ian, food writer for the Times-Picayune, New Orleans Advocate. Hello, Mr. Ian. How you doing? Hi. Doug McCash, who covers the arts and culture scenes also for the Times-Picayune, New Orleans Advocate. Hello. And Alan Mason of theatercriticism.com and the Crescent City Jewish News. Love the tie. Love the tie. Poppy, one of New Orleans' best-known chefs, is embarking on yet another classy new venture.
What a big announcement was made this week. We, as New Orleanians, have a lot to look forward to in 2021 when the Four Seasons opens up at the foot of Canal Street in what was the Trademark Building. And it was announced this week that Alon Shaya is going to be running the restaurant in the Four Seasons. And, of course, he's got a restaurant in a hotel, Safta in Denver. He's got Saba here. He and Emily are just knocking them dead. Congratulations. Congratulations, Alon. And now we're going to move on to another couple who are so near and dear to my heart. And that's, of course, Isaac and Amanda Toots, who have been very, very busy, to say the least, over on North Carrollton during the pandemic. They recently gave a gift to all of Mid-City, and we've got a little video to show about that.
We were looking at different spots all around the city, and the one thing that we decided that we didn't want to open up on Magazine Street or the Central Business District or the French Quarter. We wanted to go to a neighborhood that needed a restaurant. And then we found this little spot, and we looked around, and honestly, we felt really good about this place in Mid-City.
When we walked in here, we went, oh, I think that if we can garner the locals, that we can survive.
We wanted to own this place from the start. And of course, what happens the first day of the shutdown during the pandemic, we get to buy the building.
We closed on the building the day the shutdown happened.
So I remember waking up, and it was a Monday morning, and I had opened up my news feed and started reading about what was going on. I called Amanda immediately, and I said, what are we going to do? We shut down the restaurant that day, and then we sat down as a group, and we talked about how we were going to move forward safely.
We closed one day to essentially dip the restaurant in bleach. Every single little thing, we wanted to be legal. We also want to keep our restaurant open.
We just banded together and we went, we're not stopping. We're just going to keep going and we're going to stay together. And we've got to believe that somehow this little restaurant is going to make it. And that's what we did. That's exactly what we did. We were scared as hell. We're still scared.
The one thing that we knew we wanted to try to do was continue to feed our neighborhood and our community, which initially started with just to-go food, but grew pretty quickly into providing family meals to anyone who was hungry.
Family meal before the pandemic meant you got to eat before your shift. It meant that as a staff, we came together as family and ate a meal before working it out and grinding it out for the guests.
So we normally do 8 in the morning, 8 at night for just the normal staff. Even before these times, you just have a family meal in my restaurant. I think it's very important. And so one of the employees called, Chef, I'm coming for my meal, but my roommate, he got laid off too, and they're not feeding him. Can you make like one extra meal? I'm like, you tell everybody in that house they can come get a meal.
I had been isolated with the children for 2 solid months, and I finally was like, I have to go up. Like, I need to be there. I need to go. And we were all socially distancing on the patio, the entire staff. And I'm just looking at this building, and I was looking at the wall, and I was just sitting there. I was like, we're gonna paint a mural, like a love letter to the city, like the things that have happened here over the last couple of months. And I want the neighborhood to drive by and smile when they drive past the building and know that like we are rooting for all of you.
That part of the city is actually really important to me because I grew up going to see my grandma down there. She lived on Wilson Drive, and we used to walk to Pandora's to get snowballs, and I remember that building, and I was super interested because I knew it was going to be a big mural. I reached out to Amanda, got to talking with her, kind of figured out what they were doing as far as the family meals. I had no idea they were doing any of that, and I thought that was super cool and admirable.
I gave Zach some direction. I said, look, I want Poppy's on there, I want Ivy's on there because those are our 2 daughters. Isaac's the gator. And the hands were very important because, and that was his idea. I was telling him about family meal and why we wanted to do it, and he was like, I've got an idea. What if we had a hand handing a meal to another hand? I was like, I love it.
It's really just about the exchange of food. They were super interested in having it really swamp-based. Like Isaac has deep roots in Acadiana, and like the alligator is a big thing about it. Like he's got that big alligator tat on his back. I just love it, and I love seeing all that color there now. It's super cool.
And Poppy, they've got some
Super cool.
exciting things happening, huh?
Absolutely. Well, that video was produced by our friends Jonathan Evans and Marion Gay. And you can enjoy that mural during happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 until 5. $7 cocktail specials, $4 off whiskey. My favorite, $8 cracklins and $6 boudin balls. And they've got so much going on. Isaac's got a fabulous new line of seasonings that has just come out. I'm going to let you in on the secret that the Louisiana Lightning seasoning is that yummy, indescribable flavor that goes on the cracklins I'm so crazy about. There's Triclone. Now, that can go on anything like a cyclone. So there's Louisiana Lightning, Thunder Dust, Heat Wave. That's the secret to that incredible Toops burger. So you can get the book, you can get the seasonings, you can get the inexpensive drinks and have a happy hour and enjoy the mural all right there on North Carrollton Avenue. Bravo, Toops family.
And bravo, yes. And I thought the video was wonderful. Also, kudos to Steve Patrickman, who I understand worked on it too. And moving over to Ian. Ian, some bad news. We're going to be missing 2 restaurants, huh?
Well, Peggy, I think the way this narrative over the past months has been going for restaurants and bars and all the hospitality industry really has been this undulating veering between hope and heartache, really. And it's been playing out. And this week we got both in pretty heavy doses. This week we learned that Mobar, a bistro in the French Quarter, since 2003, will be shutting down for good. The last dinner service will be Sunday evening. This is part of a group that's LeBlanc and Smith. They have a number of other restaurants. Heartening to learn that the crew from Mobar will be going to some of those other restaurants, to Sylvain and to Cavan. But the end of a long run for Mobar, which was quite an important restaurant for North Rampart Street there through the years. And then also Uptown, Cafe Luna. This has been a cafe for 28 years, since 1992. I mean, an entire generation has been going through this place. But the pandemic has forced their hand. They're closing at the end of the month. So those are 2 examples of, unfortunately, what we're seeing across the sector, which is the struggle to pull through this for these businesses is reaching a critical point. But that underscores what else is happening, which is the local support is coming out. There are some efforts afoot to encourage, to energize the home team, as I like to call it, the avid New Orleans diners. Culinary Encore has been going on now for a week, which is basically the same thing that you've seen during every slow summer in New Orleans, the culinary prefix menu program, but now extended through the fall with a lot more flexibility to the format. But the same basic idea: come on out, get a dining deal, have a drink or two in addition to that, support these restaurants. And Peggy, what we've been seeing too is a lot of restaurants are reopening for the first time. Just this week alone, Zazu in Mid-City, Restaurant Revolution in the French Quarter, even the Gumbo Shop in the French Quarter. These are all places that have just debuted this week for the first time since March. Now what they're doing, they're crawling back into the fight. You know, none of this signals a victory, but they're getting back in it. It's a now or never kind of time for them. So I hope between the two poles of the hope of these places opening and the reality check of places closing, that New Orleans diners understand it's serious, and a lot of it's on our plate.
And I'm so glad that Annunciation is reopened and Bywater American Bistro, you know. So the list is long, and they have, and if somebody hasn't done a culinary meal, it is a really fine multi-course meal for a set price, and it's such a deal, right?
Peggy, those are two good examples of restaurants that have culinary menus, that's for sure. And for those people who I know many of them are not dining out right now, takeout is a great option for that. You can get a culinary menu.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you so much, Ian. And moving over to Doug, Arthur Roger Gallery. Talk about busy, busy, busy. This is a large show, isn't it?
This is a big, luscious show. It's called Art in the Time of Empathy, and there are at least 75 artworks by artists, all addressing sort of the social and ecological and political challenges of our time, and some more directly than others, but it all works. It comes together. Like so many topical shows, you're going to encounter things that you may not want to you may not want to confront at that moment, but the overall feeling is that these artists have made it into something positive, made lemonade out of lemons, if you'll forgive the cliche.
We've got a lot of images we want to show you because the show is vast, isn't it?
It's big and it's wonderful. This is great because I think the Medusa by Lynn Embry sort of symbolizes all of those problems we're facing. We're surrounded like the snakes in Medusa's hair, and you push a button, and this mechanical Medusa starts twitching around, and her hair rattles, and it's just wonderful. A sort of and this is terrific. Imagine COVID masks reinterpreted as Mardi Gras Indian beadwork. I mean, what a wonderful New Orleans reaction to a problem. This is terrific. It's your one-stop push cart for COVID anxiety, voting anxiety, general anxiety, all very tongue-in-cheek, and ecological concerns. This is Jackie Bishop, who Nobody Does It Better. This wonderful, strange pink, palette that she uses, to underline. Unexpectedly. This is a marvelous piece, Mistaken Identity. You would imagine that had been inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement, when in fact Doug Bourgeois painted this in 1991. So he had long anticipated this era. And the painting is just fabulous. And this is great. It is about disease. It is about transmission, very much of our time. But the effect is like a disco ball, and you walk into its speckled environment, and it's just wonderful. Once again, very uplifting experience despite the topic at hand.
Very much so. Thank you so much, Doug. We'll be back to you a little bit later. And on to Alan. You actually went to a play in terms of in person, right?
Believe it or not, there is theater out there, Peggy, somewhere if you look for it long enough. Theater for One is what Loyola University is presenting right now, and it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. It's all socially distanced, of course, and almost all of it held outdoors. And while it's really intended only for the benefit of Loyola University's theater community, their students, their faculty, etc., it is still good to be out there and to be able to drink it all in. Now, meanwhile, Peggy, we've seen how the death of George Floyd has ramped up all of the Black Lives Matter movement and the intersection of his death and the demand for more inclusion and diversity in mainstream theater, and the need really to discuss this and how casting and management will deal with systemic racism moving forward is so very important. It's such a very important topic that tonight on the NOLA Theater Talk Show, Sasha Grandoy, who's the current head of the Breath Project associated at Southern Rep, will be talking about that particular project. Of course, she's been running things along with Amy Hayes, who's sort of stepping down, preparing to leave. But Sasha will be my guest tonight on the show, and we'll be discussing not only the Breath Project, but also some other things related to Southern Rep. One of our guests will be Ilyanette Bernabels, and also we're going to have another actor, Brooks Washington, who will be talking about their parts in the Breath Project Festival, which takes off on Saturday and continues on Sunday. Basically, this is an effort between Southern Rep and 23 other regional theaters for presenting short works in length dealing with the Black community of 8 minutes and 46 seconds, which is, of course, was the time that the officer's knee was on the neck of George Floyd. So we're going to start off with that. Meanwhile, please keep in mind that, everybody's affected by the shutdown, and Broadway community, people are also just as much affected. But what to do? Two former soap opera writers associated with such efforts as The World Turns came up with a really bright idea. It's a benefit for the Actors Fund, and they've gotten together with such of the great actors from the Broadway productions we've seen in the past, such as James Monroe Iglehart, a Tony winner, Tony nominee Alex Brightman, also Sarah Stiles, George Salazar. They're all going to be part of an effort. They're going to be producing an ongoing soap opera on Broadway, and it's all about Broadway. It's going to be fantastic. Donations are suggested to the Actors Fund, but it'll be free of charge. It just started yesterday, and it'll continue for several weeks. They've got 3 in the can already. And last but not least, Peggy, please let me implore everybody not to miss a free production of Arthur Miller's The Death of a Salesman, starring Brian Dennehy. It's free until Sunday evening on the Playbill website. Go check that out.
Okay, thank you so much. And back to Poppy. So local concept is going national, isn't it?
Well, there's so many people who would normally be traveling to the city who I know miss New Orleans. Well, our friends at Commander's Palace have extended their very New Orleans wine and cheese party now nationwide in these curated packages for 4 with wine and cheese. This nationwide event is scheduled for 7 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday, November 11th. This is going to include Dave Malone of the Radiators live from the Tipatina stage, and you just need to check out the site for the different time zones. But what a fun way to get together with friends who have been missing New Orleans and share what we do best. Party.
Party, yes. Dan the wine guy. Thank you. Back over to Ian. Some excitement from culinary excitement in Gertown these days.
Peggy, I'm always looking for restaurants that feel like they're at home in New Orleans, but are something you haven't quite seen before, something new with their own style. And that's exactly what I found at Nice Guys Bar and Grill. This is a tavern. This is a modern tavern. It's set up like a bar, but it's family friendly. There's a kids menu. There's a little coloring menus for the kids too. But it's the kind of place you walk in. People are having daiquiris. There's local drafts on tap. And in the kitchen, there's Darian Williams. He goes by Chef D Fresh, and he's got his own way with comfort food and with Creole classics. He puts his own spin on it. So this is a place you can come for a burger. You can come for wings. But you can also get something like this: praline wings. When you see praline wings on a menu, how do you not try that? It's that sweet, salty combination, but that caramelized, deep sweetness of praline against the salty crunch of those wings. Delicious. Here's his version of char-grilled oyster bread, just swapping out bread for the shell so it absorbs it all. Thursday is one of their specials is this whole turkey leg stuffed with shrimp linguine cream sauce. It's just fantastic. That thing hits the table, and it's like you're at this Renaissance fair taken over by a Creole chef. Now, a word about this place. I've been going for several times, enjoying the menu, trying out different things. I knew there was a story here. Once I got Chef Darian talking, I found out what that was. He's a New Orleans native, grew up with his grandparents on a farm in just over the river in Harvey, where, you know, it was like this oasis. He just grew up around food like that. He starts working in restaurants, and Emeril Lagasse tries his cooking when he's working the buffet at Harrah's Casino. Emeril Lagasse recruits him. He spends about a decade working at Emeril's flagship on Chapatula Street with David Slater and a number of other chefs there that he has endless praise for. And all these years later, he's doing his own thing, and he tells me that he definitely takes inspiration for that. They can do a New Orleans flavor, add another level, kick it up a notch, perhaps. But that's what they're doing at Nice Guys Bar and Grill. Really fun place there on Earhart Boulevard in Gertown. Look for the Jeep out front. It's the longtime address of Daiquiri Island, that old beach buggy Jeep.
All right. Thank you so much. Back over to Doug and a brand new show at NOMA.
New show at NOMA called Mending the Sky. It's a conceptual art show, and it has a hidden agenda that we'll get back to in a minute. The show is in each of the artists in the show faces one of the challenges of our time: COVID anxiety, ecological or political conflict, forgotten history, gender politics, and they somehow solve that problem. Symbolically, of course. The name of the show is based on an artwork by Bili Lu, which was inspired by a Chinese folk tale in which a goddess climbed into the heavens to repair a tear in the sky, and she did so with a needle and thread. And so you see these wonderful silken clouds that seem to be raining needles. The hidden agenda behind this show is I spoke to curator Katie Foll, and she told me that notice that by and large, the artists here are women artists. And she pointed out that maybe when there's a tear in the sky, symbolically, that women are better equipped to cope with it.
All right. Very something to really think about there. Thank you. And back over to Alan for some more online theater, too.
Well, absolutely. You know, we just got off a wonderful production last week of Stephen Maitland-Lewis's Simpsons Pride, which I was so happy to be able to produce. And this week coming up, we have one that's also an original piece that's being seen for the first time as sort of a rolling national theater reading, if you will, virtual reading for all of these, of course, because of the pandemic. But it's called Insulted Belarusia by Andrei Kuruchek. We had already a conversation with Kuruchek and the director of this particular work, Natasha Raymer, already. But we're going to actually present the whole production on Monday. For those of you who haven't checked it out, it'll be on the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, as well as my own YouTube channel, which you can look by checking out my name on YouTube and just doing a search for it. Monday night's show will be directed by Natasha, as I mentioned, along with such notable actors as Casey Groves, Kathy Randalls, Andrew Vaught, as well as Andrew Larimer, who now calls Austin, Texas his home. So a good way to bring back former local actors into the mix as far as it goes. So keep that in mind as well. Also, Peggy, we have on, as we've noted almost every week when he's had the shows, as the Shows Must Go On channel that Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber started up, he's presenting a very unusual piece, and again, timed to coincide with the 1938 War of the Worlds broadcast, of course, pretty much. James Walker's War of the Worlds, based on the H.G. Wells classic. But this is a musical on War of the Worlds, and it's going to be on now through Sunday on the Shows Must Go On channel, so go check that out. Also, on the Seth Rudetsky series concert this week, LaChance. Now, does that name sound familiar to you? If not, it should. She was a Tony Award winner for her first time out of the box for her work on Once on This Island. And again, she's been around Broadway for about 2 decades now. She is just a fantastic vocalist. You'll see her with Seth Rudetsky, and we have a number of other concerts that'll be coming up soon. So keep that in mind. They have a lot going on. So you know, we'll announce all of those coming up on our shows coming up in the next few weeks. But again, every Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Hope that you can go check that out as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. And back to our picks of the week. Poppy.
Congratulations to Donald Link and his whole team at Herb Saint for 20 years. And they're going to be celebrating with delicious throwback dishes through October the 31st.
All right.
Congratulations, 20 years.
Ian.
Everyone loves a good breakfast nook, and lately I revisited Tartine. That's on Perrier Street, just off of Broadway by the river. Fantastic. Look at that. There's eggs baked in that brioche covered in cheese. Delicious way to start the day. I love this place.
Sounds great. Doug.
Find your way to 201 North Rampart Street, and you'll find a set of banners that were installed by Monica Rose Kelly and a team of collaborators, and they are dedicated to the 3 men who died in the Hard Rock Hotel collapse. They were put up on the anniversary of that event.
All right, thank you. Alan.
Well, we mentioned it last week, but it's worth mentioning again. Those of you who have not yet been able to see live theater and maybe are still clamoring for it, the hot stuff is happening in Kenner. That's Becky Allen, Harry Marone, and Chris Weckland over at the Rivertown Theater's main stage. We hope that they'll extend that, but we haven't gotten an official word. But again, great stuff there. And Peggy, I'll see you at the theater.
Thank you. And now my picks. If you are looking for a costume or a mask for Halloween, check out Saturday's 25th annual Halloween Costume Boutique, featuring creations by many of New Orleans' best-known costume and mask makers, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the corner of St. Claude Avenue in Spain, and that's right in Marigny by the Healing Center. Next Wednesday, look at that photograph. Next Wednesday from 5 to 8 is the last concert for the season for Evenings with Enrique, April and October, made possible by the Hellas Foundation. It's in the Enrique Alferez Sculpture Garden of City Park's Botanical Garden. Free admission, such a deal. Food and drink are available. There's a band every week. This next week coming up, Julio and Cesar, the guitarists, they've been on Steppin Out. They'll be performing. I attended last Wednesday, and it was such a delightful evening, I'm telling you. There's plenty of small-scale, socially distanced music and dinner events at the garden these days, so go to NewOrleansCityPark.com for a schedule. Thank you all very much, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Support for Steppin Out comes in part from the Kristovich family in honor of Mary Lou and Bill Kristovich. This program is sponsored in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support the arts and culture in the greater New Orleans area.